This is like a blueprint of a house. It's like a basic way to present an idea to a community with a methodology that is able to be patented.
And where was it put out on and when?
So this was released on
October 31st, 2008.
Yeah, and it was released within a community of computer peers, so people who were part of the crypto, what do you call it? Crypto, not
Mailing list.
cypherpunks.
It wasn't released as cypherpunks.
Crypto
Notably,
mailing list.
it wasn't
Yeah.
released as cypherpunk mailing. It was released as a cryptography mailing list. Specifically, it wasn't. The
So it was a little Word document that was
It was
sent
a
around
document
on the mailing list.
PDF.
released by an
PDF.
anonymous
It's a
person.
standard way in which you would introduce a technical document. It's kind of a cross between a manifesto and a technical document. It's only 9 pages long, including a page of references. So it's a very efficient document. What's the word? Very efficient.
Yes, the introduction to the technology, it shows how, and then
In an academic style of
people can then review this
Alright, can you host
document
Q&A
say,
if you're
"No,
gonna talk?
you're
And then if
wrong,
other people wanna
you're
talk,
right
then you-
because of this, or wow, you're a genius, this is amazing. So it's the first stage of release of information.
And I would also say notable is that it's hypothetical. So it says a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online transactions to be made directly from one party to another without going to a financial institution. So it's always done in the hypothetical and the conditional case because they don't know yet. This is the hypothetical presentation of a possibility that then would have to be evidenced with the actual code that is
Did
released
this, how
subsequently.
much before Bitcoin did this come out then?
This is the idea that started Bitcoin.
This is
Day one.
This is
This
the
is
first
the first
time.
ever time anyone.
Bitcoin didn't come out until 3 months.
How much
40
after the paper
3rd of
then?
January 2009.
The protocol was released January 31st.
3rd of January 2009.
3rd of January, yeah.
Go was pressed in the Bitcoin protocol.
Yeah.
This came out, when was it? October?
October 31st.
Halloween.
Halloween 2008.
Halloween 2008.
I'm pretty sure it's also, I
Bayless
believe,
thing.
Craig's father's birthday as well.
Very calculated, very calculated, yeah.
Coincides with a little coincidence. But yeah, anyway, this was released, and during the trial we found out that there was possibly steganography tools that could prove Craig Wright wrote the white paper. Nothing was ever told of how to do it, but it obviously caused a bit of a frenzy with the technological people, and they went out and started looking and trying different things that are way above my pay grade because I'm not very computer savvy. But a gentleman called Alex Favell noticed that in the references, there was only 3 references that didn't have, there was only 3 references that had months, all the others just had years.
Can you make it bigger? Thank you.
But you can get this online.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just want to see.
So the first reference, a paper by, what happened?
You're on a different tab.
I told you I'm not computer savvy, okay? Now, the non-tech person giving a demonstration on tech. So these are the different references, and this is the information that helped Satoshi Nakamoto come up with this white paper, the thing that influenced him and the text that he
Although
did.
I have to say it isn't actually an accurate representation, and I think there's more complexity.
There is
in
more
that.
complexity,
Yeah.
yes, but it's the things you would have to legally cite, otherwise not being classed as plagiarising, effectively. So what Alex Favell noticed was that there is no month here, there's a month here, there's no month here, there's no month here, there's a month here, no month, month and no month. So he felt that 725 in different variations was some form of a, like a, what would it be, what's the word, not a code, a cipher, which using this information can open up other information. So he tried many various things, and
Can I note, just to say that we know now that this paper was not just written by the author, but he had, like a wingman that was kind of,
Kleiman.
yes, who was specifically ensuring that every single element was accurate.
How
Yeah.
did you know that?
Kleiman v. Wright. Kleiman v. Wright, the decision that was upheld in the appeal in America.
Just trust us for now.
It's quite Da Vinci Code, isn't it?
It is.
I like it.
You know, and so we know that there was like a diligence and accuracy to this white paper that was like, you know, methodical and meticulous.
Yeah. It was also created with it wasn't created using Word,
No.
where you just type the things out. It was created using a program software called LaTeX.
LaTeX.
Or LaTeX.
LaTeX, yeah.
And this is
LaTeX.
LaTeX. This is a software where you can change parameters in such a variety. You can do anything with it. You can add, for steganography, to hide hidden codes within a information piece that to the average eye just looks like a normal piece of paper, but to a steganography tool is actually full of loads of information, a bit like the metadata of a picture or something like that, a load of information behind the information.
Scott,
Well, anyway.
really quick backstory. Can you really quick just give the backstory as to how the even the concept got started? Remember that the trial where they started asking, can you prove that you? Yeah, say that.
So,
Yeah.
I believe it was Judge Meller who asked Craig, I'm trying to think verbatim that, he said something like, can you prove
Cryptographically.
cryptographically that you are Satoshi Nakamoto? And he paused, smirked and said, cryptographically? No. But it was like, oh, you're not asking me the right question, so I'm not going to give you the right answer. I'm going to answer the question. And then this called, where he's gone so much into steganography, and he's written a steganography white paper, I want to say it was about 6 months before the Bitcoin white
Published,
paper
yeah,
was released.
earlier that year.
Yeah, saying about how you can hide code, you can hide information, you can hide signatures of an anonymous author in there.
It was a full white paper, detailing how to do it.
So the little techno moles have gone around and fiddled around and found ways, and Alex Favell, a gentleman, has found a way. I don't know the process he went, I still don't understand it, but where he found multiple versions of CSW, Dr.
Well,
Craig
actually,
Wright.
Gavin actually interviewed him on the matter, so there
Yeah.
is the video
Gavin
of
will
it,
be your
so,
expert for that, he can go through that. But a friend of mine called Casey Atkins, he's BSVKC on thing. And I would say to you also, this is especially to you, Gavin, Casey doesn't want to release this information yet until after the 31st.
What is BSVK?
We'll, if you don't mind, we'll go.
We will do questions, but we want to get everyone mic'd up because
Yeah, let's just get this
He
done.
doesn't want to release this
This
information.
is a
'cause
super
he-
preview right now, and
Yeah,
this is like a big deal, and
he
this is
wants
getting released on
to-
31st, and you guys are getting like a preview of it.
Yeah, he wants to release it on the 31st, he wants to show the evidence, he wants to show exactly how he came up with this thing so that everybody can replicate it and they can see it for themselves rather than the messenger passing a message on. But he looked at the same thing, he was inspired by Alex, and he started looking at this, and he noticed the same thing, that 2, 5 and 7 were the only ones with the dates. So he felt, for him, that when he was looking at the white paper, he said number 1 stood out to him. And he said the reason number 1 stood out to him was because he ran a program on the white paper to check the number of words, how many there were on each paragraph, to see if there was anything that stood out. And he said in number 1, there was multiple uses of reversal and reversing, which were never, they weren't anywhere else in the white paper. And so he said, oh, that seems like, this code on this thing seems like it's pointing to this direction. Let me see what there is in the actual words. And so what he did is he very basically counted 7 sentences in, 2 sentences. Yeah, go on, you highlight. He counted 7 sentences in.
So where are we looking at?
He was just trying to sort of poke at things, see if anything stood out. He said,
Is this page 1?
yeah, on this, the
Yeah.
seventh, go to the second sentence. So
Second
while the
sentence.
system works well enough from, commerce on the internet, while the system works well.
Sorry.
So this is, I'm going through his process of how he discovered this. He said, first of all, he looked at sentences
How do
2,
you spend
5,
the whole
and
day
7.
So the point is that
Easy.
the
How?
references that have the month in are 2, 5, and
Used to
7.
quirky people.
So he took that as the code, and he took 2, 5, and 7. He went to the introduction, and he took, what was it, lines 2, 5, and 7.
Yeah, he looked at the sentences
Oh,
2,
easy to
5,
laugh.
7, see if there was anything. This is
Easy.
what is there?
You know
While
you
the
miss
system
me.
works well enough for
I do.
most transactions, it still suffers from
Sam.
the inherent weaknesses of the trust-based model. Then he looked at number 5, which is
You agree you miss me.
3, 4,
What did she say?
Sentences, right, yeah.
5.
Agree.
With the possibility
I asked
of
him, "Do you
reversal,
agree you miss
the need
me?"
for trust spreads. And then he looked at number 7. A certain percentage of fraud
Okay,
is
we've
accepted
got
as unavoidable. He went through this process of seeing if there was any codes within the word, and
Internet.
so he came upon deciding to change all of these words into Bitcoin hash addresses. So like the normal address you receive in your wallet, he wrote a Python code, changed it, and he said whilst he was going through it, nothing stood out. And he was like,
So
well,
explain that hashing, because
So-
we understand hashing here, so you can
technical
do it,
person.
don't we?
So
Do you understand
basically,
what hashing is? Do you understand hashing?
Yeah, I understand
Good,
hashing.
okay, so what's
but when he said the code that he wrote changed all of these pieces of information into different individual address hashes.
He hashed it?
Yes.
You shot
there's-
256 and you hashed it?
I'm guessing so,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
And so what happened is he had thousands of different Bitcoin addresses, effectively like wallet addresses. He looked at number 7, there was nothing. He looked at number 2, there was nothing. He looked at number 5, there was nothing. So he was like, oh, maybe it's not that. Then he decided to reverse it. And when he reversed it, because of that was the thing that drew into the first paragraph, the sentence said it was reversed. He noticed that on the 7th.
Where does the sentence say it's reversed?
Possibility of reversal.
Oh, reversal.
Non-reversible payments.
Yeah.
Oh
The
my
possibility of
gosh, man.
reversal.
He
Steve.
reversed it, and then he found all of those numbers had an address that had 1 CSW as the start, and then all of the other addresses they were just random. So 7, 2, and 5 sentences turned into Bitcoin addresses that started 1 CSW, 1 CSW, 1 CSW.
Sorry.
And so
Can I just
also
say,
just
you're not going to get this right away, just listen.
Yeah.
You just know
Sorry,
where you're going to get this
What's
right away.
Okay,
CSV?
I'm
Huh?
busy
What's
doing it.
What's CSW?
Craig Wright.
Oh, that's his name.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, what they've done is, so basically, the geezer's super autistic and he's put it in such a complicated code that no one can get it unless somebody super autistic tries and works out.
I love this route to out, which is what you're just saying.
So what he's saying is
to
that-
out, anyone can work out our key.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so-
what
and
he's
he's
doing.
going
to
He's
probably
releasing
the bottom line
information
is
so
what
that
he was
they can
saying.
do the same thing.
Yeah,
He's figured it
yeah,
out,
yeah,
now we
yeah.
can simply.
Wait, what?
Thanks, Vicky.
Wait, back. Okay, back.
Which is cryptography basically, and a different
What-
language.
what-
So is Shakespeare.
And you just told us
So is
what, I'll read the
What?
advice.
I'm confused.
Okay, great, nice one, guys. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, what? He's gonna do what? Casey?
Wait, it's trying. Nice one,
On the
okay.
31st, he's going to show people how they can do this themselves so that they can find the same results. Rather than like, hey guys, I found the treasure.
Who needs
You
quantum
can't see how to
computing?
find it yourself. He's going to
Well,
show
let's
everybody.
understand in
The
the
other thing he
context
said is-
of the comment that you made in his response
My comment in his response.
about you scratching the surface.
You
said to Craig.
I need to find exactly.
Well,
what it
anyway,
was.
so Scott messages.
After the Alex and Bell thing happened, I messaged Craig saying, so we've had this proof, we've had that proof, is there any more? And he went
You
like,
said, are there any more Easter eggs?
is there any more Easter eggs, or is there any more proofs? And he went, you barely even started, you've not scratched the surface.
Well, he gave
It's
you
like-
a specific number.
I cannot remember verbatim
You told me
a comment on
0.1%.
Twitter. Yeah, I
No,
I
I'm,
will,
you know,
I will
we-
find the comment for you, and I will post it to you guys.
Because this is a man who's
But-
who's a precise person.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a fine. I'm not.
I
smoke too much weed.
He's prone to hyperbole, okay.
I smoke too much weed to remember comments on Twitter. You know.
Well, you said
Screenshot
to
them.
me, I think it was either 1%
It
or
was either,
0.1%.
he said either you've only scratched the surface, not even, you haven't even
I think what he's
touched
saying
it.
is you haven't found the slam dunk smoking gun.
No, that's
That
not,
might
that's
be
not what
that,
he was
isn't
saying.
it?
What he was saying, from what I understood, was that
Yeah,
there was
he said,
that
he made
he
it
giving a
perfect.
percentage estimate of how much had been decoded.
I don't think it was that. I don't
Okay.
think it was, there's 99 other problems and Steg's not one. No, I think it was, he was just saying there's a lot of different things that he's grafted in this paper as Satoshi Nakamoto that really, really smart people, more than me, can figure it out. But Casey's managed to find it through the fact that the 725 were different.
I took it to mean that there was a lot more decodes.
I imagine there is.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me find the exact thing. Okay? I will find it.
Okay, we doing an intermission? Go ahead.
Yeah.
What, he's doing it, all right, he's doing intermission then. Intermission, talk about, we're gonna pause while he's doing going. Keep rolling.
I don't,
You're fine, just hold it, yeah.
You're doxing me right now, anyway. Can I get a sign up? Anyway.
They're both the same.
What I keep saying for a while is that
you see
the Bitcoin, hello,
You want me to film you?
the Bitcoin white paper is the gift that keeps on giving, because
It's gonna go on YouTube,
for
yeah.
me,
Subscribe
you
to
know,
my
I
YouTube.
consider study of the Giza Plateau a lifelong journey, you know, and I'm so grateful for Jacqueline to, you know, just done so much epic work on this in the last few years, like
Is that Jacqueline?
amazing, like
Yeah,
what
Jacqueline, and thank you,
incredible
Jacqueline.
amount of knowledge. But for me, the Giza Plateau is like a technology.
Apologise for glamorising it. That is what
Okay.
I said.
So,
That's what he said.
Scott says, I'm wondering if you have any comments about your name being found in the white paper multiple times by steganography. Have all the clues been found? S. Tominaga replies, no, not close. Someone replies, like the Hunter's Salon. That's it anyway. So he says, no, not close.
Yeah. No, not
So
close.
your question was
You-
specifically, have all the clues been found? No, not close.
Yes.
So that means he read Alex's work.
Yeah,
So-
Alex sent it to him. I sent it to
Okay,
him.
good.
as
We're
well.
back on. So let's continue. So
You'd be
3,
surprised
5,
how much
7,
Craig
is it
reads.
257.
7 to 5.
Right.
75. Okay.
Or 257. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's it.
Oh, I thought you said there was some new, like,
That is the new that Casey has found.
okay.
On the seventh hash address, on the second hash address, on the fifth hash address of this first introduction, and nowhere else on that paper at all when it gets hashed into Bitcoin addresses is there anywhere that says any reference to Craig. On the 7th, the 2nd, and
Oh,
the
there's
5th.
not any reference.
No, when you turn it into that, it's just Bitcoin addresses. You know, if I send you a Bitcoin,
So
and I
this is
type
the
in that
update
number,
on Alex Avell.
Yes.
Alex Avell said that there was
Alex
the
found
instance.
2 instances of Craig's name being found in the white paper, and that
And
was
this
his.
new guy's come
and
back and
this
said
new
there is no
guy-
evidence.
No,
Is that a big reveal?
No.
Okay, sorry.
let me finish. So, the first guy, Alex Avell, found Craig's name in the white paper multiple times through his own methodology. I don't know that methodology. This new guy has found Craig's name 3 times in the white paper, different 3 times in the white paper through his own different methodology. So it's another 3 times that Craig's name has been found in the white paper, and the odds.
Oh, we did find his name.
Yeah, he found it 3 times.
Right.
725. The sentence 7, sentence 2, and the sentence 5. Every single other one had no reference to Craig, no one CSW, nothing like that. And the odds, because you have to do it once and then you have to reverse the hash, the odds of doing that, what did he, hang on, it is 1 in 334 million % chance of that naturally happening without having a supercomputer to do it for you. So the chart for you to be able to generate free CSW addresses in those specific places out of an entire document which has maybe, I don't know, how many words would you say are on that document? A lot.
So an address is expressed in base 52, which is basically, well, an address is expressed in base 52, right?
Okay.
Which is, base 2 is binary, 0 and 1. Base 3 is like 3 different digits. You know, base 10 is decimal, which is 0 to 9. Base 58 is 0 to 9, and then A to Z, capital and lowercase.
You just spoke in hieroglyphics to me.
Anyway.
And then there's spaces, lower
That's what the other says.
Spoke in hieroglyphics.
No, but when you said CSW is in the address,
So you know,
are you
so
saying
look.
that CSW is
So
an address
watch, so watch,
together
watch,
together?
watch, watch. On my hand cache, I click, right, and I click receive, and then I click legacy address, and there's a legacy address. So it's 1AK, little I, little r, big E, big X, and it's a random string of numbers and letters in
Yeah.
higher and lower
Those
case.
numbers and letters are base 58 because
Okay.
they're 0 to 9 and A to Z in capitals and lower letters. That's base 58 with the ones and the zeros taken out. That's what base 58
So
is.
he turned a program on Python to turn all of this into individual
And the
addresses.
CSW was together in like
Yeah.
a sequence.
Yeah,
Right,
one
that's
CSW. That
One
was
CSW. One CSW.
One
Yeah, so to
CSW.
generate an address that was one CSW, because if you want to get what's called a vanity address on Bitcoin and you want to get an address that has like a specific string, it's very expensive because someone's got to generate millions of addresses until they find, if you want to even just predict one letter in a Bitcoin address or 2 or 3, it goes exponentially more difficult every time you go, obviously. So to get CSW in a string at the beginning after a 1 is like a huge amount of compute to get that amount. So
to do that
But
3
in
times.
the future, will people want that vanity address, like a number plate?
sure, you know, but
People
the
will
more
want
digits you
to
go
do
along that
right?
you're
So you
prescribing,
can see it
the more
going,
complex
you
and
know.
more compute because
Yeah.
it's exponential.
Yeah.
So to get CSW at the beginning, because it's 2 to the power of like whatever, so it becomes like,
And then
well, it's not 2 to the power, it's 58 to the power of 58.
and then do that 3 times, and then also double that because he did the first program, then he reversed the program, and it came out via the reverse. And also the fact that every other there was probably like 20,000 different
So it would be
addresses.
basically 58 to the power of 3, I guess.
I will take your word for
This
that.
is 58 times 58 times 58.
Okay.
Doesn't seem reasonable. right?
Elle says you're gonna
Yeah.
dox me. You're gonna
No,
dox
but
me.
then he, based on the fact that
Yeah.
he looked through every single
But the point
address.
is that that's referenced here. So
Yeah,
base
it's referenced at that point.
58 to the power of 3
You're
is not
gonna
that big
dox
number,
me.
but the fact it is referenced in here is like,
Well, he looked through all of the different addresses, and there was thousands and thousands and thousands of addresses that it had been turned into, and he didn't find any example of one CSW in any other point in the entire amount of addresses. The only time he found the addresses is when it was on the
Everything you're typing right now is going on YouTube. Just so
which
you know.
references in the references that have a month in them. Are we starting to get this? Right.
That's quite
Do
strong
you see?
evidence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it was correlated by the second person coming in and referencing that again from a different steganographic.
Yeah, it was a completely different find within the white paper, but still, from the first, it's like the first clue leads to multiple different ways to find hidden things within the white paper. So you might run it through, I don't know, a pixel program, and there might be a white pixel here which is slightly a different color, and then the computer program can say, oh wow, we found all of these pixels that are different color, and oh, there's a code within this, or it
Can we
might be
talk
the
about-
spacing, or
Can we talk about Craig's uncle?
well, Craig's uncle was involved in the Enigma project, the Turing computer. He was,
Touring, yeah.
Yeah, it was an
Station in
Australian.
Bletchley Park.
Yeah, in Bletchley Park. It was an Australian and British collaboration. And so Craig, growing up, had been given like adult level cryptographic puzzles.
Let's
by
just
his
rewind
granddad.
that. So during the Second World War, like the ultimate kind of
Code breaker.
thing that they had to achieve was to break the Enigma code, which is the methodology by
messages.
which the Germans were sending messages
Right.
across enemy lines.
That was that new movie that came out.
Yeah, so there was a movie called The Imitation Game, which starred Cumberbatch. who played Alan Turing, and Alan Turing is probably the most brilliant mathematician we've had in England.
Craig's hero, one of his heroes, yeah.
Yeah, and Alan Turing was commissioned by GCHQ Intelligence Services during the Second World War to go to Bletchley Park and to work on decoding the Enigma code that was enabling the Germans to send code across enemy lines, and they had an Enigma machine that would transpose their messages into a codified thing, and they'd send that and it'd be decoded at the other end by an Enigma machine.
And one of the ways they managed to do it was the fact that the Germans repeated Heil Hitler, and the Heil Hitler within the actual codes was what allowed them to start the cipher to crack all the other letters within the alphabet.
It reduced the entropy because they
Yeah.
had something that they knew was going to be repeated in everything, and that massively reduced the entropy. But he created a machine called the bomb, which was basically the first Turing complete machine, which was a machine that enabled the compute of any input, and it was basically became the precursor to the modern computer. Anyway, the point was that Craig Wright's uncle was, I didn't actually realise it was an English Australian co-production or whatever. I didn't actually realise that.
Yeah, it was a thing. So they were, I believe, a few of the people were brought over. A few of these details were given in the case as like a backstory of Craig's, and they were brought up. But it's just very convenient that a very cryptographically complex puzzle is in this white paper when Craig, as a young boy, has said that his grandfather used to give him puzzles, or uncle, sorry, I forget which one it was, used to give him puzzles to complete. So from a young age, he was doing advanced mathematician puzzles and cryptographic puzzles.
And being introduced to the culture of cryptography and steganography.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a language there for those who kind of has been studying this stuff. There's a language that you would look out for.
Very similar to what the cypherpunks enjoyed doing with like steganography and things like that.
Yeah.
Originally, you know.
A common, like thinking about this is right now is the entire queue operation. For those who have heard of it, you have no idea what it is unless you can read and decode that. It's communications, it's it's operations. You have to understand how to read that and how to interpret it. Have you heard of Q?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what the guy Casey BSV Casey found. He wants to do a space to release it on the 31st of October. So say what you like about it after the 31st, but he found it. So I did ask his permission, and he said, "Yeah, let him know, but just ask everyone if they can please keep it under their hat. Wait until the 31st. Let him do his thing, and then you can be like." I was told a week before. If it becomes something big, if it doesn't, then who cares?
So you want me to wait on uploading this till the 31st? I can do that.
Wait that long, Gavin?
Yeah.
Specifically said, just tell Gavin, nobody else. Just Gavin.
Gavin loves it.
Gavin's great at keeping secrets.
Oh yeah. As long as they tell me not to speak, I won't. Let me know.
Gavin, keeping secrets.
David Pierce, yeah.
So yeah, he's really excited about this. He thinks this is, wow, he thinks it's amazing. I think it's, me personally, I'm like,
Jack, I want you to come and weigh in at this.
No, not at all.
me personally, it's like, it's another proof.
This is for the other people. Nothing to do with me.
Well, you've been decoding hieroglyphs.
Not this kind of thing.
So Scott, sorry. So these three things, that's the finding. There's nothing else he has found using the same method.
No, he hasn't found anything.
Okay.
But I believe that.
Well, the reason I want to bring you in is because you've been like pointing out all kinds of correlations between hieroglyphs, and how they kind of, you've been talking about kind of how hieroglyphs constellate and kind of reference each other and things like that.
Which one of these is the slow hieroglyph?
Which one's the slow?
Listen, you were saying on the bus today that, after the reset, it was possible for humanity to decode information because there was a relationship between different constellations of these, humongous, like, effigies and things.
I was saying they could find things, because
Exactly.
if you know, if the pyramids are built in alignment to certain constellations, and then you follow due west from one pyramid site to another, then you can find things after
Well, do you not think
cataclysm
there's a
that wipes out
correlation
what's
to-
on the surface.
Is there not a correlation with what's going on here in that sense?
You just built it.
Well, no, because you're saying like there's correlation.
What you're saying, the point of this code is reinforcing the fact that Bitcoin's actually invented by this Craig guy. Is that
Well,
what it's about?
before that, what we're pointing out, there's the obvious correlations, which I think is similar to the correlation between alignments of certain.
In a way, does it matter whether it's invented by this Craig guy or not?
It doesn't really matter, but
What
it
does
did
it
at
Do we
one
really
point.
think this is one guy that's in that? Come on.
Why did it
Craig said
matter?
he was influenced by other people and he was helped by other people, but he was the lead, he was the one who created it. The other people just crossed the T's and dotted the I's,
Do you-
effectively.
Do you honestly?
There's a whole validity of it.
Do we really
Can
believe
you
this
just
is?
expand, Mike?
Should I be outspoken here?
You can be
Just wait a
outspoken if
second,
you want.
just
Grab the-
one person
grab the
time.
mic.
Can you
No, I'm
expand
not going to say anything because I'm not
Can you
factually.
expand what you just said, Mike, please?
Well, if Craig Wright's a fraud, then the whole thing's kind of a fraud, right?
Guys, I have a rule. Please, yeah.
If Craig Wright is a fraud, then the whole thing's kind of a fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, I mean, what I argue with people all the time. Okay, let's forget the Craig Wright service. Let's forget that. What can the technology do? But if Craig Wright is a big fraud here, who cares?
I've got a question around that. It's like, so there's two outcomes here, yeah? He either is or he isn't Satoshi. But what is the result of it being in either camp? So if he is, what's the difference? And if he
Ah,
isn't,
good
what's the
question,
difference?
good
Like,
question.
What difference does it actually make?
Well, I think the initial thing is for Bitcoin to work as a commodity, as a world currency, it can't be made by an individual. It can't have a face attached to the currency, otherwise that face is susceptible to human error. You know, like if
I feel like I've been missing Satoshi a lot of the time.
if
I'm
that
missing
says
Satoshi right now.
Jimmy Savile instead of Satoshi,
Yeah.
no one would
Damn.
be dealing with Bitcoin right now. They'd go, oh fuck that. Because it's Satoshi, an anonymous entity, it means that.
So you're saying the anonymity gives it credibility because as soon as you put a person, they rip
So
the
then why
person
does he
apart.
want to put a code which proves it's him? Why doesn't he just let it be
Because-
anonymous?
Well,
It's not.
Well, that's part of the strategy. That goes. Let's go deep down the rabbit hole and talk strategy on
So
that.
this is what. So we had Satoshi was here with us on Sunday night, and what he explained in his talk is that there's a very important and very nuanced kind of explanation of what money is versus what currency is. And an important part of that is that there is no central influence over the
Yeah.
development of a money.
So is it actually detrimental to the infrastructure if Craig is?
Oh, the mic
Well,
turned off.
So
yeah,
the whole,
because
no.
if Craig is proven to be Satoshi, like unequivocally, then everybody who support BTC and has
Make sure you're
attacked
good.
him
Yeah.
is like, oh great, we've attacked Satoshi, and also it means that he would have ownership over his coins, and via the courts of law, because court can change their protocol as and when they want, however they want. They, in theory, could change the protocol very easily because the original opcodes are available to do data recovery, take coins back from a wallet that was lost in a dump, say in Newport, or lost in a house fire. You know, the little paper with your seed phrase gone, coins are gone. You know, so it's a double-pronged approach. If he is declared to be Satoshi, he gets all of his coins, and then he's a 100 billionaire, and he can obviously make BSV function perfectly, and everybody loves it. Or if he's not, then he has no fiduciary rights over BTC, and when BTC collapses, then nobody's going to be knocking on his door for any of that $2 trillion worth of worth. That collapses. That's pension funds, that's BlackRock investments, that's a lot
Okay.
of big
Would
money.
he be liable
Wait a
otherwise?
second.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he would be.
Like, think
Go
about
ahead.
it, it's Ethereum.
Ultimately, it's about the evolution of mathematics. I mean,
Uh,
if you go backwards,
It's the evolution of
Wait,
data.
can we just
Let her ask a question. Yeah.
Gavin, get that.
Here, hold that in your hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gavin, you spicy
This, whether it's, we call it cryptographic. Yeah, cryptographic. It's later in
Say
the
it
day.
3 times fast.
No,
Cryptography.
absolutely not.
Cryptography.
It's definitely a tongue twister. But ultimately, all of us need to understand that this is a mathematical. It's about ones and zeros, and ultimately, it's whether we can prove those ones and zeros actually exist. Where this, Bitcoin comes into its own is into the fact that it's peer-to-peer, and this, Bitcoin in its very essence is about whether we, as individual citizens, acknowledge that we are willing to enter into a contract between you and I. As long as we are willing to enter into that contract, this stands. So Bitcoin is the ultimate, it's democracy in practice. It's based on mathematics. Mathematics is either yes or no. There's no in between. And because of that, there is no alternative. So as long as we go back to the one or zeros, we ultimately know that this is real. And
Let me just back up. So when you're saying like it's the ultimate logic gate, so ones and zeros is off and on of electricity. So like one is on, so on a circuit board, that means that the electricity flows, that's on, and if it's
Yes, no.
zero, then it's off, and
Yeah.
the light doesn't turn on.
Binary.
It's off and on, binary.
It's binary
Binary.
code.
That's
It's
the
binary
logic
code.
gate,
Yeah.
Yep.
but the
But that's
whole
what energy. It's energy.
but the whole of the universe is based on this.
It's
not
energy.
me or you or
It's
any of
energy.
us saying this.
Energy is what this whole thing is
Ultimately,
fucking
what
based on.
Satoshi did, he took us back to the origin of the universe.
Exactly. Sorry.
And no, it's okay.
It's amazing. It's just
And we're
amazing.
talking about one man. This is fucking shit. It's not
It's not
one
about one
man.
man.
This is much more universal than one man.
Follow
This
him
is
on
about
Twitter. Follow him on
consciousness.
Twitter.
This is much higher than what would. This is a humanity. This is not humanity.
is,
This
yeah.
is universal.
Can we let Lim finish
Sorry.
her point?
but
Can we let Lim finish her
It
point,
is
please?
universal,
Can we
you're
just
right.
can we let Lim finish her point? She's on a flow.
I'm in agreement with yourself and yourself. All of us are here because of you. And I would like to acknowledge that, first of all. Elle, thank you for bringing us all together.
Thank you, Elle.
Blockchain Academy is why we are all here. And Satoshi in 2008, he wrote a white paper, and ultimately what he did for humanity was he allowed us to remember that we can make a difference. We are ultimately a sovereign nation within ourselves, and the fact is that the universe works in zeros and one. We're all in a binary system, and in our current reality, which is based in 5G, he has allowed us to understand that Bitcoin in its sovereignty is a base of whatever we go forward with. Now, it sounds like we are in an alternative universe, but the truth is the reality is whatever we all believe. So today, if Bitcoin gold, I call it Bitcoin gold, some people call it BSV, we all know that Bitcoin is...
So why do you call BSV Bitcoin Gold?
That's a really good question. Bitcoin gold...
I've not heard that before, so...
I've always
Bitcoin
heard
gold
that in
is...
reference to BTC.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Ultimately, I've been around in the industry for a very, very, very long time, only because I had a use case within the industry. And how we understood it was, ultimately, it's about whether it's on or it's off. When we talk about mathematics, within the universal sphere of, it's about the multiverse, but in reality, we are here now, and we all know the movie The Matrix. And
We're
when-
living it.
Yeah, and when we actually decode it, we are in a universe that is living proof that we are within the matrix, and Bitcoin allows us to understand it in a way that,
Could you qualify the Bitcoin gold comment though?
okay, the Bitcoin gold is today, we all understand the gold standard within fiat. Fiat is what we all know, and it was supposed to be that all of our currency, whether it's the pound or the dollar, it was ultimately pegged against the gold. And then the second reserve is silver. So in today's reality, we know that Bitcoin is gold and Ethereum is silver. Many of us don't necessarily understand proof of work.
Why do you say Bitcoin is gold?
It's the mother.
Okay.
It's the mother of all crypto.
Well, what is Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is algorithmic. It's algorithmic in that, in what Satoshi did for us is he brought us back to the fact that peer-to-peer reality is one and zeros, and we are able to agree.
And why does that relate to gold?
Because the gold reserve is what we all agree is ultimately that me and you, today, we actually have a settlement that you and I agree. It's a consensus mechanism where you and I agree that the value to gold, me and you, the money supply is based on consensus with fiat.
A unilateral agreement.
Yes, ultimately. And there's a value associated with barter. So today, if proof of work means that we give hours of our work in consensus, that this equals the dollar, equals the pound. Now, that means barter meant the gold reserve, which is what before Bitcoin, all currencies worked on the gold reserve. And in today's...
The gold standard.
The gold standard, that's where it comes from. And why I say Ethereum is silver is because it's a secondary value within crypto.
Crypto? Are we
Yes.
talking about crypto?
No.
Okay.
What is crypto? Ultimately, it's you and I agree that there's a value associated with...
Well, crypto in
Yeah.
Greek means hidden.
Yes, but no, it's cryptographic.
No, we were talking about the protocol.
It's about cryptographic. That's where the word crypto comes from. Cryptographic literally means that we know